Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. All right, this week we did a feel-good story.
Yeah, this was the American Thanksgiving holiday week. I hope everybody had a good one.
Yeah.
And so we did a feel-goody kind of, wholesome. You could say
God damn it, this is Thanksgiving. This is the American way or whatever they talk about. This
that's
is
right. We are giving thanks to this character.
Yes.
And all of his truth, justice, and American way.
Yes. And all that was supposed to stand for, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not what it ended up standing for, but in actuality. But what it was supposed to mean is that, a wholesome farm-bred boy who was taught morals and was taught good things when he grew up.
Yeah.
And he, being an alien, got superpowers, and that man is Superman. All right, so we read DC's Superman for all seasons. This is another we'll call it a Jeph Loeb Tim Sale joint. We'll call it that because we're gonna make it through all these. They have a lot of things together. We read the Wolverine Gambit one, which was fantastic. We read the Long Halloween Batman. I think there's maybe another one we read a while ago too, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, basically this team, when working together, is my favorite team up.
Yeah, every time we read them, we're like, oh man, this is fantastic. Like, and so I think by the time when we went to pick this one, we're like, I think we just need to go through and read all the ones that they've done together.
Yes, because they not only do DC, they do a lot of DC, but they also did Marvel stuff. So they have a Gray Hulk, a blue Spider-Man, a white Captain America one. So like they have ones that were like color based in the Marvel ones. I think there's another one there. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, basically, it's definitely worth going through. I haven't read the Marvel ones because you know me, Marvel.
Because he's a Marvel hater over there.
I hate it. I just don't care. Hey, but we did read the one I cared about, which was the X-Men one.
That's true.
So I like X-Men and Captain America, and that's about it. So, but
that's true. You know, it's funny. Just on a quick side note, for all of your like meh with Marvel, your favorite superhero is Captain America, though.
yeah,
So that is kind of fun.
out of Marvel, yeah.
No, I thought it was your all-time favorite. That was one of our things that we connected on.
All-time favorite, and then I think what happened was it was all-time favorite, and then
But as
I've read comics, I got
as Matt and I became friends, Captain America definitely we both were
okay.
like,
I was
hell
20.
yeah.
I was 19. No, I was 20, and you
2019,
were 17,
18.
So.
18.
18.
I'm not that much.
You were
younger
just
than
out of high school. You were still just out of high school.
But now that we've been doing this podcast so long, we really got back into comic stuff, and
But at that time I was just getting back into comics in general, and from like the 90s, and I started reading Hellblazer and Swamp Thing, and then I was like, oh fuck, this is my favorite.
Well, that's your favorite character, but a superhero, I would say overall.
Oh, heroes.
Yeah, Captain
Yes.
America. But also now that you've been reading a lot more for our podcast, I know that Batman has definitely climbed up there.
Oh, very much so. I didn't realize how big of a Batman fan I was until we started reading all the Batmans, and then I started reading every Batman
Ever made.
outside of that. Yeah, so yeah, now I'm a big Batman fan on top of that, but there's enough garbage in there too. But yeah, I think Captain America is still my favorite if you're going to call them superheroes versus just in general characters or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll go for that. Also, Hulk grew on me too, just from reading stuff later on. So that's why I was like, oh, Gray Hulk should be cool because I'm interested in that. Yeah. But yeah, Planet Hulk. I started picking that run up actually in issues when it came out. But like, it's funny. I think I even said this in the Planet Hulk issue. I just happened to pick up the issue before that whole storyline started. like the original storyline.
Yeah.
Like they send him into space or whatever. And I was like, I guess I'll just keep reading. And then like I just happened to buy that whole run just for fun. And I was like, oh, this is really good. And I just thought every Hulk comic was good after that, and then it's not. But yeah, so
all I was getting at is like for being such a DC fanboy, like there is some deep love for some Marvel.
There are some good Marvel runs and some good character. X-Men is for me probably my biggest thing, mainly because of the '90s show.
Yeah.
I have everything in that. I can go back and read the stuff that isn't like that's in the '90s show, but isn't from the '90s, like the Chris Claremont, like Dark Phoenix saga and all that. And I love all that stuff. So just because of the show introducing me to all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're here to talk about Superman and
another
Jeph
red,
Loeb
white, and blue.
Tim Sale. Yeah, red, white, and blue based comic, I guess. We'll
say.
But yeah, this like we said, is a Jeph Loeb Tim Sale thing. But this one looks different than almost every other one they do because it's got a different colorist. And I'm going to say his name because, I mean, he's probably related to me. He seems really cool.
Yeah, it's like third cousin twice removed or something, I'm sure, in there.
His name's Bjarne Hansen. Spelled the same way mine is, which is weird because not a lot of people spell Hansen that way. So this guy did. This guy, there's a CIA double agent that back in the day that was spelled the same way. And, yeah, I think that.
It's re-related.
Yeah, we're all related. So, but yeah, so this dude, I think it's either watercolors that he used or something like really light airbrush or something on these. So like, but it looks more like a kind of like you were saying like a 50s TV show that was if it was in color where it's kind of like faded color or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of looks like a memory or something.
Yeah, it's really, the art in this, even though it's like I said, it's Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb, and so we're like, it's something we're accustomed to with some great storytelling and great art. But then, yeah, the way that this one's colored and some of the way that it's drawn is very different from some of what we've seen. And it's beautiful.
I thought that too. I was like, this kind of like shows a different side of Tim Sale's art, where he shows a lot of more detailed backgrounds and stuff than I've ever seen him do. Normally the characters are really detailed and the backgrounds look fine, but in this it was like, whoa, like. So the store inside of some of the stores, I was like, Jesus, there's a lot of signage in here and everything. Like he's drawing a lot of detail.
Some of the
background
scenery ones that are just like characters looking out at things.
Yes,
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. So this book starts and it automatically like gets you in the feels. I don't know. I was like, it starts out and it's like a family album and it's like Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Kent, Jonathan and Martha Kent, and it's like them getting married and it's like a photo album back, before children. Back in the day, your parents might have one of these actually. They used to have these things called photo albums that you would put photos in, and it would be an actual book.
You would have a photo on a piece of paper, glossy paper, basically.
Some kind of film that was developed.
Yeah.
And then you would put them in these books, and they were like memory time capsules. And then the books would last however long they did. Pictures would fall out. You'd write on the back of them or write in the spaces what photos went there in case people took them out and stuff. But like, I have a bunch. My parents have a bunch of these of us. I have never made one of these. I tried to, and my wife was like, "Why did you buy this?" I'm like, I thought that's what people are supposed to do.
That's funny. I think I did the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like on sale one time. I was like, "Oh, we don't have a photo album yet." And Sarah's like, "They're on it. It's on my phone. It's on the computer. It's digital." Like, I guess.
Then when that dies, we die, I guess.
When my computer craps out and I forgot to back it up. Whoops.
Yeah, sorry, there goes our entire life memories. We don't need to remember that anyway. Remember that vacation? I don't. So yeah, I think that's going to happen nowadays. Is people are just going to forget all the good times they had and just remember all the shitty times. But because that's the stuff that sticks with you, the bad times. But I feel like I bought one for our wedding. I was like, I'm going to buy, like, it's going to mean a lot. It's for our wedding. And she was like, why? What is? And I was like, oh, she doesn't give a fuck about this photo book. Okay, cool. So, like, it was just one of those things I thought was going to be, like, a big impact gift, and it did nothing. And that's when I realized, I don't understand my wife sometimes. I misjudge things, gifts and stuff for her sometimes.
They have plenty of photos of their marriage up just to...
Oh yes, but I mean like in a book.
In a keepsake book.
There's maybe I don't think there's any photos, and maybe one photo in that book. And then it's got like tons of empty pages. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But anyway, so this starts off with a photo book, and we see like the growing up of, baby Clark, and I don't know, just got like, it just hit me in the right way. Where like it's him with his dog, and I don't know, it's just all this stuff. You see Clark, in his baseball jersey and all that shit, and like driving the tractor with his dad and everything, and ask or going out on the prom night with Lana Lang, and just like it just looks very like old timey and nostalgic is what it was. I was like,
all the photos are like sepia colored too.
Yes,
It's really cool.
I was like, is this book gonna make me cry? I feel like this book's gonna make me cry. And then it starts off it's called For All Seasons, so this takes place over 4 seasons, the first of which is spring. And this is like, we get like this, Man of Steel intro. We all know who this is, and he can, fashion a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, leap tall buildings in a single bound, move rivers, and all that kind of stuff. But then it ends up that it's the dad talking, Jonathan Kent, and he's actually like reminiscing about his son growing up. And we see, he starts off before he's even out of high school, and it's Clark Kent. He's like, "Hey, Pa," like, it's funny because he while he like is supposed to be in high school, he is a giant high school student, I would say.
Yeah,
he's got to be at least like 6'5".
Corn-fed Kansas boy here, like very much so.
Yeah, I picture just like
big old linebacker.
A linebacker. He would have been a great linebacker. Now his parents look fucking old too. That's the other thing. His parents look like they're his grandparents.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I thought made it a little more like fit the time period and everything, because this is in the 50s. So just his parents, maybe they're just hard-working people.
Yeah, hard-working.
His dad's in the sun all day in the fields with the farm. So, that's why he's done that all his life. So he's got a lot of wrinkles. He just looks older than he usually does in comics or in movies and stuff. So like,
it's no Kevin Costner.
He's no Kevin Costner. But, he also doesn't die like Kevin Costner. So yeah, but the, basically it's just like him reminiscing about, Clark being a kid, and we cut back to that time, and we see, Clark helping his dad with a big rock in the field, and he's like, "Hey, Pa, it's supper time," and then his dad's trying to get this rock out of the field, but it's a pretty big rock, and he's trying to get a crowbar under it, but he can't get the leverage. And then Clark's like, "Hey, can I help?" And he just picks the rock up with like one hand and then moves it. And you see the dad's kind of like disappointed, like, or sad. Something in his dad's like something in his face. And, basically we come to find over this little first issue that it's just he's sad that his son's growing up.
Yeah.
He knows he's gonna have to say goodbye at some point. Because not only, this happens to every dad and every parent, where if you have kids and your kid's gonna grow up and he's gonna leave, or they're gonna leave and they're gonna go to college, or they're gonna go move on with their life. Hopefully, is what's supposed to happen there. And then that's one of those things that might not be a thing anymore. You're supposed to move out of your house eventually and get your own job and your own place and all that. So
everybody's got different situations, but in general,
get
that's
the fuck out of your parents' house. Anyway, become your own person. But yeah, so he's like sad that that's going to happen, because he knows in his house, goddammit, when Clark turns 18, you get the fuck out. And so that's his rule, and he's sticking to
it. The time frame, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, he doesn't say that's his rule, but I'm going to assume that's his rule, because that's what the rule used to be back in the day. And in fact, I think my dad even said that to me once or twice.
My dad might have said that to me too.
Yeah. So anyway, but we see them eating like, regular. I don't know if it's Thanksgiving. It's not Thanksgiving because it's springtime, but it's just like a nice, meal with Lana laying over, and her aunt is over, and Lana is like into him. Obviously, they go for a walk afterwards, and she's like, "Is there something wrong?" And he's like, "No, it's fine," and he's like, "You sure?" And basically, he's just sad because he knows he's changing. He can't talk to anybody about it. And no one else, knows about any of this shit, because it's like, only his parents, because he can't tell anybody else about
Yeah.
his powers. And then also, and this is interesting. This was like a cool idea. Superman can hear super good. So like whenever his parents are on the porch on the other side of the yard talking about him, he hears all the shit they talk about him. So like they're like, I just don't know, Martha. He's changing. The boy, he's different now. And so he's hearing this whole like heart to heart with, Ma Kent, and it's just like he's hearing their like sadness about him changing,
and like he's gonna go away eventually,
or just like what's he gonna become, what's he gonna do, kind of thing. Just like that, there's a lot of stuff that could happen. I mean, if you saw what's that movie, Brightburn? If you saw
That's true.
Brightburn, that would have been a scenario that could have happened. He didn't grow up in that one yet, but if you ever watch Brightburn, just watch it in the idea that this is supposed to be Superman, and this could have happened had his parents not been able to, I don't know, put him in a corner or something. If he was more strong-willed as a child.
Yes, there you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
I think in Brightburn he's older, right? Like they don't find him when he's like
he's like
baby.
he's like a young teen, I guess. Or
I think he's like 10
or something. Yeah.
So like because I think they raised him from a baby, they're able to control him better than in Brightburn. But yeah, in Brightburn this could have gone that way, I should say. If you haven't seen Brightburn, I think it was fun. It was a fun like what if Superman.
Yeah, basically it was like a what if Superman.
Yeah.
Didn't use those powers quite for good reasons.
Yeah, let's just say Superboy doesn't fly around with a legion of superheroes. He murders people instead. So he hears all these, like anxieties about him leaving from his parents and all this, and what's he gonna become? And they're even like, "Do you think he can hear us?" I'm like, no, he's across the house, but he can hear it. He hears everything.
Oh, he heard everything.
Yeah,
you said.
I already heard everything he said. And so, but yeah, you just see like his day to day. You see his, he's with, and this is in the 50s. Like it very much is set in the
malt shoppy. Yeah,
I think it's supposed to be. I mean, like before. I want to say I don't even know if this has to be before or after World War II, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a retelling of if Superman was after World War II, before because obviously his first comic was 1939, and that's when he's already Superman in that.
Yeah.
So, but they're just kind of bumping it up like 20 years. Like, okay, he lived through the 30s and the 40s, and then now in the 50s he's gonna become Superman, kind of thing. So, yeah, and we just get to see the townsfolk of Smallville. We get to really breathe it in. Also, this made me really want to watch Smallville again. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with Smallville, but I was like, they keep saying Smallville. And I used to love that show when I was in high school. So I feel like I'm going to start watching that again.
I never really, I watched like episodes here and there, but I never really watched Smallville. But this definitely.
Did you know? So are these characters familiar to you? Are you familiar enough with?
No, I mean, so like I knew, when Lana was in this, I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot about Lana because like I didn't recall her at first, and I had heard of Pete, like that seemed familiar, but like all the other townsfolk, no idea.
Okay, so I don't know if all the other townsfolk are in it as much, but definitely, him and his friends are in the show Smallville. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I want to watch Smallville again, see their adventures, even though this is like the 50s or whatever. But it took me back. I was like, oh yeah, Smallville. So, but we just see like around town that everybody likes Clark, and they're just like, yeah, and all the kids are like, what are you gonna do when you? And like Pete's like, I'm gonna become a millionaire and move to Metropolis like that idiot Lex Luthor or whatever. He's not special, or he's got big dreams for something for some reason. He doesn't have any like plans to become a millionaire, like how he's gonna do that.
He's just gonna be.
He just wants to be a millionaire.
They have one of those like because it's like the old malt shoppy thing. It's like in It's a Wonderful Life. The little I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog, the little thing. Is it gonna light or not or whatever?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yes, and he always rubs it. And he always goes like, I want $1 million. And yeah, so then we see like Lana is always like infatuated with Clark. The way she looks at him and stuff. The emotion in the faces was a lot better. I think, or like a lot more pronounced in these.
Oh yeah, she looks at him very longingly. You can tell.
Yes, she's got big, heavy eyelids.
Yeah, very doughy.
Yes, and so, but she's super into him, and of course she is because he's fucking Superman, and or he's Clark Kent at least. But this was funny. Like I never saw this in a show. At least they never. I don't think they ever show this in Smallville, but or like a movie. But he goes to get his hair cut, and it's right across the street from where he was. So he like gets his X-ray vision at the same time he's in this barber chair, and the guy tries to cut his hair, and he's like, "Holy shit! I can see through the wall. I can see Lana talking to Pete." And then the guy tries to cut his hair with scissors, and the scissors fucking break on his hair. And I was like, "Oh, I didn't remember that being like a thing, but maybe they're just
that's fun and that's something I think we've talked about on and off for years as we've been comic fans. Is like, I always ask, I was like,
how does he get his hair?
Yeah, how does he get his hair? Or how does he shave or whatnot? And like you showed me, I think because there's like one random one where he like uses his eye beams and like reflects them in a mirror somehow and like shaves himself.
Yes, that was something that I think maybe Frank Miller came up with. Or
Yeah.
something. They try to have explained it, but like, how does he cut his own hair and shit? That must be hard.
Yeah,
with eye beams. I don't know.
I guess, but then he can always get a perfect
imagine there
haircut.
just being like just tufts of hair flying. And he just looks fucking ridiculous. He just goes bald after a while, just because he can't figure out how to cut his hair right, or he's got to have like a kryptonite razor.
There you go.
But just enough. It's just coated on the blade, so like it just cuts the hair, but it doesn't make him sick.
It's not even the blade. It's like the moisture strip at the top, but it's a kryptonite strip.
Oh, there you go. Well, that would stick to your skin a little too much, I think. I feel like if the blade just had a slight coating on it,
just like around the edge,
and it's able to nick through the hair. Then, right?
I thought if you have it on the strip, then the strip passes the hair first, right? And so it just weakens the hair enough so you can cut it.
It's just lightly.
I don't know.
This is our kryptonite condom.
Yeah, we're writing another comic.
Yeah, we're gonna be the many like how does Superman brush his teeth?
Literally, just how does Superman live day to day?
Yes, that will be a very interesting comic, I think. So, but yeah, so then like towards the end of this, it's just like kind of like Pa Kent being like, man, my boy's growing up and we're going to have to say goodbye to him, like that's basically what it is. And then we get like the nice kind of like big heroic moment where it kind of says like, yes, this is what you have to do, or this kind of like triggers his Clark's like heroic moment that pushes him into Metropolis, where a tornado happens and it's running through the town, and he's like, I gotta help, but he doesn't know how to fly yet, really, and it picks him up, and he actually like he figures out, okay, I can actually control myself in this air or whatever, and his clothes are getting all torn up and everything, but he saves one person from like a gas station fire, and covers him up, and it just basically it showed him like, look, I could have done more if I knew more about my powers and stuff, and once I grow up or whatever. So that's kind of like what leads him to, okay, I want to do more. I want to like be more and save people and all this stuff. He even tries to talk to the pastor about like, so if there was a man who could have stopped all this destruction, and the guy thinks he's talking about God, like, well, God works in mysterious ways. He's like, no.
I'm saying an actual person.
What if there was a person who could do this? Should they do it? Or like, do you let things happen because they should happen? Or do you change them and try to save whoever you can, kind of thing? Because you can. And so I think basically he comes to the idea, of course, that like, okay, you should try to save people as much as you can. So that's why, obviously he gets in his mind, okay, I'm going to go to Metropolis because that's where the most people are near us or whatever. And, it's the New York of basically, or it's one of those, it's like Chicago or one of those big cities. And, but before he does that, and I liked this a lot. So he brings Lana up, they're both just graduated, so they're just out of high school. It's summer vacation, or it's about to be summer. And he's like, okay, like I had to bring you out here. I needed to tell you something, and she's like, oh, really? Like, what is it? And he, like, starts flying with her. He just lifts her up, and she's like, oh, my God. And they go on a flight, and, basically he's like, I have to leave Smallville because this is what I'm destined to do. And, like, look, if I can fly and I have super strength and I can do all these things, I can help so many people. So, like, I have to do that. I'm going to leave Smallville. And she's like, well, are you going to come back? He's like, come back when I can. And she gives him a kiss. But then, he's on his way out, and he says goodbye to his old man who's standing in the field with his pitchfork and looking at the sunset. And they both stare at the sunset together for like one kind of last hoorah in Smallville together. And then he moves to Metropolis, which he's at the Daily Planet, where he meets, all the usual people. I was surprised they don't show him go to college or anything, so I guess he just gets a job as a journalist right away.
A journal. I assume journalist works his way up.
Yeah, must be.
Or
I don't know.
Maybe it's a low
end.
I don't know.
Well, he's right away writing, like, competing with Lois Lane and stories and stuff. Maybe he wrote like a badass story. Well, I guess what really happens is he's got the scoop on Superman.
Yeah.
So he's writing these stories about Superman, and they're like, "Whoa, you're a really good writer on this Superman fellow, this new hero." So he does a front page story right away. Basically, they pay him for it, and then that must be how how he gets hired.
Perry White's like, "You're a good man. I know this is only your first time, but you know what? I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah.
Why don't you come on and work for me?"
Exactly. I like you. You're a white guy. Come on in.
Basically.
Too many broads in this office. It's just Lois. It's like, yeah. So, and then we also get the introduction to Lex Luthor, who is the redheaded. He's an older man in this. He's like maybe in his 35, 40s. Yeah. So he's older than Clark and Lois. And I'd say Lois is at her like late to mid 20s, and Clark is 19 or whatever, or 20 in this or something.
Yeah.
And then so we see like a very developed already Lex Luthor, who's already a billionaire.
Yeah, he's already a billionaire.
He's already like come up with stuff, and he has plants and everything, and so he's not like a kid like Smallville or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's not bald 100% yet either.
Yeah, you can tell he is balding, but
he's balding.
He definitely has like red curly
he looks
Gene
more
Hackman
like Gene
hair.
Hackman. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
there you go.
He's definitely going for the Gene Hackman vibe here. But yeah, so we see now the Superman is officially in Metropolis, and he swoops by Lana Lane, who is Lois Lane, who is that's gonna happen because they both have the same
L's.
fucking
yeah, and that comes up in this, and that's why I was like, I didn't realize that until this either.
So Lois Lane is on a date in quotation marks. She's trying to get a story from Lex. She's on a date with Lex, and Superman flies by, and you just see the annoyance in Lex's face. He's like, ugh. It's like Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
I hate that Simpsons boy. And so then we see basically he's saving a child who's chasing a cat. This child, by the way, is just running on rooftops and sides of buildings.
Yeah, this is like the side. Like you always see it in movies. Like there's a side ledge in a building that you could walk on, but you shouldn't walk on.
It would be like, it'd be like, oh, my cat got out, and that's what's happening is he's chasing this cat. So this first instance, I'm like, okay, this kid was in his house. He opened the window. The cat got out onto the ledge, and he's chasing the cat. Makes sense-ish. And so he saves the kid. The cat, I don't know. The cat's still out there, apparently. So, and Superman's like, hey there, Billy. Where he's like, hey, Superman, nice outfit. He's like, my mom made it for me. And then, he flies away. So that was funny. But then Lex is like very angry about this. He's like, it's going to be a long, hot summer. I hate this Superman.
Yeah, why is there this person flying? I don't like it.
Yes. And then we get issue 2 is called Summer. And this one is in the voice of Lex, right?
Yeah, this one's told
No, this one's
Lois's perspective.
This is Lois. Yeah, I'm sorry. They're each told in a different person's perspective. So Spring was Pa Kent, and then Summer is Lois Lane. So she is talking about like this new guy Superman, and I'm having to deal with Clark Kent now and all this stuff. And this one was just interesting, like her perspective on this guy. This was funny. The first thing that happens in this is Superman saves Metropolis, and this is a regular day in Metropolis. We don't see pictures of anybody freaking out. It's just a normal day walking around. There's a nuclear bomb coming that is attacking.
Some kind
already
of
been launched.
missile, yeah.
I mean, it explodes. pretty big in space when he pushes it out to space.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm assuming, well, if it's not a nuclear bomb, it's a very, very large missile or whatever, which he stops and no one knew about. What kind of fucking air defense is that, Metropolis? We should already know what's going on if someone's launching nukes at us or missiles or whatever. So, but yeah, this is a very, very large missile that was being launched at us. And he pushes it out. And I liked the design of this missile because it's so reflective that it looks, and maybe that's why. Maybe it's supposed to be stealth or something. But it's so reflective you can't even barely see it through the clouds because they reflect off of it. So it just looks like clouds in the sky or whatever. So
the only reason you even notice it more when Superman touches is because his fingers dent in the front a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So he pushes it out, and that's why the bomb, when it explodes, looks gigantic. But yeah, so he flies back to Earth from space, and after he does that, and then we see there's a LexCorp boat in the water, and he's like, huh. And apparently he knows exactly where this fucking thing came from. And no, Superman does, not Lex. Yeah. But yeah, Lex's boat just happens to be in the water there. And we see he swims down and he sees a submarine, and he's like, gotcha. And so he picks up this fucking submarine and brings it to the airport, I guess, or where's
the air base? I guess there's like a military base in Metropolis.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, so he brings it to the air base where Lex just happens to show up. Like, I don't know why Lex shows up at this base. We're like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, you can't. Oh, it's Mr. Oh, sorry, Lex, you can come in, no problem, even though you don't have like a clearance or anything. But like, he shows up right as Superman brings this submarine in, which I guess was the launch attack of this missile. Or where the missile came from, which is why I'm saying it's like a nuclear missile, because the only subs I know that launch missiles are nuclear subs. So
yeah,
and the ones that like are nuclear missiles. So like Red October or something.
Yeah, that's so okay. So it's probably
yeah. So yeah, and then but also on the ship they show in the background a mysterious womanly figure, and we find out that Lois was actually on that ship as well. As like I don't know, finding information on this, and then I don't know what she was going to report. Yeah, how do you hide on a submarine? If you've ever been in one, which I have, did a tour on a submarine. They're very tiny inside, and I would not want to do that. My dad was a submariner. Submariner? I don't know exactly. My dad was a submariner, and and he was on a submarine, and he didn't have any problem with it. I was like, I don't know how the fuck you
that's
lived on these
that's
things for 6 months at a time. No, thank you. But yeah, so but yeah, basically, like he confronts Luthor, like, hey Luthor, why are you here or whatever, and then like
Luthor's like, don't mind that. Why are you leaving this here? You're wasting this taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, they're gonna have to clean up this mess that you left here, and then I guess the people are after, like, he peels back the submarine's cladding or whatever, the outside of it, and pulls out the men, or the men just kind of walk out, and one of them has Lois Lane. He's like, haha, I have your spy. I don't know if they're supposed to be. They don't have like any insignia other than like that one of them has a beret.
No,
like,
they just call
Russian, or
they just call them terrorists.
Yeah, they're just terrorists in general. So like, as far as we know, Lex Luthor could have hired these people to, do
like
this
a
or
fake,
whatever. And I'm assuming maybe he was going to save the day or something. Maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, basically they're just talking about American imperialists and blah blah blah. So he's like, they say you're faster than a speeding bullet. Are you really? And he cocks his gun back, and right as Lex Luthor goes like, don't worry, I'll handle this. I can negotiate with anybody, even tear. And then in the middle where he says roar, Superman grabs the gun, and then he says is, and Superman's got the gun in his hand. And he's back with Lex Luthor. So like within that one syllable, he did the gun move and then smashes it, and he's like, situation under control. And then I like this, that Lois Lane then takes out the guy with her own karate.
Yeah, she's a strong woman. She can handle herself.
She ha-cha! And karate chops him in the back of the neck, which was fun. And then we see Superman be like, Miss Lane. And then I think this is where they first like notice each other. They get to meet each other for the first time, and they both have eyes for each other. We'll say they both have. They could definitely feel.
Yeah,
the vibe.
They both have that like glare at each other.
Yeah, and this is like whenever you had close-ups is where I feel you had the most Tim Sale art. Like the
Definitely.
most like this is classic Tim Sale. You have a close up of Superman, looks exactly like Tim Sale. Close up of her, especially his ladies, they always have like that Tim Sale eyes, the Tim Sale lips, the angular nose, and all.
Yeah.
Like it looks exactly like a Tim Sale drawing. But the rest of the art in this was so soft and softened than his normal stuff that it just gave it like a different feel, not in a bad way, just like it was good because it fits the story
fits
really
Superman,
well. Yeah. And this, especially this old style looking Superman. We should also say this Superman, like we said, he's a farm boy. He ain't chiseled. He doesn't have a 12-pack.
No.
He is like
like
a
an old
Mr. Atlas or something from back in the day, where he's got those old. This is the Superman that would lift those round weights. You know?
Yes.
The weights that are round for some reason. I don't know why weights used to be round, but they were, or at least they looked like it. Maybe because they were just balloons that were painted black.
Yeah, they weren't really that 1,000 pounds.
Yes, but he looks like one of those guys from like those ads that are like get buff like Johnny Strong or whatever, and then it's like him with the barbell over his head.
Yeah, one-handed over his head.
Yeah, one-handed double weights that says 500 on each one.
He looks just like the old school wrestlers. Like they're these guys that are really large,
barrel chested,
shapes.
They're big shoulders. Yeah, shaped large. Yeah, they definitely had pecs, but then it just kind of smoothed out under the pecs.
Yeah.
And you're like, I assume there's abs and stuff there, but he also eats cornbread every morning.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell. But his arms are buff. That you got the biceps. You don't have giant delts or whatever in the back. You don't have the shoulders. You just have wide shoulders. So I appreciate. It's kind of like I think I said this when we were talking about this. Like Frank Quietly does a very similar, like a softer Superman.
Yeah.
But he still in this I think he looks very imposing though as well. Like he's still big and fits that mold or whatever of Superman. Just
very much so.
He's just not chiseled like now like an extreme version of him or whatever.
Yeah, like so he wears his skin tight suit, right? But yeah, like you said, like you don't see it's not like every muscle defined in the suit, right? So that's nice.
No. Yeah, and then he takes Lois Lane home from there, and this was fun. I was like, oh, it's like they would do little things like this that I thought, oh, it is like realistic the way they're coming at this because it's like oh my god, my hair, because he's like flying with her, and she's like, oh no, and then like her shoes are falling off because they're flying. It's like she's wearing like shoes that flop off or they're not tied on or whatever. So it's like things like that. I was like, oh, they never bring that up. But yeah, if he's picking Lois up everywhere, like
she lost some shoes.
Yeah, exactly. She definitely lost some shoes. Definitely lost a sweater or like a neckerchief or whatever.
She had to comb her hair when she or brush her hair when she get the
exactly. Yeah, her hair would look crazy. No girl would let you pick them up and fly.
That's true.
I don't know any woman that would let you do that if you have. Messy. You have messy hair when you land. You got to comb it every time.
No. My wife would never know.
No, you'd have to
You're gonna mess up my hair? No. Do you know how long this took?
Yeah, exactly. So and then he drops her off, and then he has time to change and go back downstairs and be like, "Hey, Lois, where you been?" And then she's like, "Oh, we all have our little secrets, Clark. I have a story and you don't." And then he's like, "Oh, really?" And then we see he lives in a regular little apartment, which is nice. I would imagine this is like every apartment in LA and New York and Chicago if you don't make a lot of money, but it's a one one-room apartment.
Yeah. There's like a bed on one end and the kitchen on one end.
Yeah.
They're the other end.
Yes, and the bathroom is a sink on the other side.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's outside the window. You just there's a toilet seat on the edge of the window.
Wow.
So but basically he lives meagerly, but you see he gets food and stuff. He's got groceries and everything. So, but every now and then he gets sad, and he's got to fly back to his pops and go to Smallville and visit and say, "Hey, pops, how's it going?" And then his dad's like, "I knew you were here. I heard you."
Yeah, I did like this. Like he I guess he flies there, but he's I guess sometimes Superman can also fly silent, like an owl, is what I assume, because some people because he will surprise some people, but then like this.
Well, I think he lands and then walks 2 steps, and then his dad's like, "Hey, it's you. I heard you." So he's like, "I always know it's you." And his dad's like, "Oh, it's so good to see you again." So they get to have like a nice dinner. They have like a nice dad hug. I was worried in this too.
Oh, I can. I was waiting for it.
I am.
We
okay.
know what happens usually.
Yes, we know what has happened in Superman stories in the recent past or whatever, where Clark or John Kent generally has died in some of these stories, and the way that this one's told is so nostalgic and what's the word I'm thinking?
Family oriented. It's very big on family.
Yeah, not sympathetic. What's it called? I can't remember. It starts with an S, but yeah, the word I'm looking for I can't remember. But it's very sweet.
The synergy. I'm kidding.
That's not the word at all.
Not the word at all.
Not the word at all. It's very synergistic.
Yeah.
Synchronicity. Other words that start with S. Samsonite. But yeah, basically it's just sweet and it's like nice and I was like, God damn it, is this gonna make me fucking cry? Is this book gonna make me cry? And
am I gonna release a lot of serotonin and
God damn it, John, stop saying S words. But yeah, so I just was waiting for it the whole time. I'm just spoiler, it doesn't happen, so I was actually happy it didn't happen because I was like, I don't want to cry on this book or whatever. But God damn it, if you know me, any kind of father son thing will make me like start crying.
Father son or like really traumatic animal thing.
I don't care about the animal thing.
Sometimes you do.
When did I cry on traumatic animal thing?
I don't know about comic wise, but you've cried many times at an animal thing.
I've never cried ever.
Yes, you have.
I've never shed tears in my entire
Oh,
life.
actually, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let's go back to what is it, episode 3 or 4? We 3? Oh yeah.
Okay, fuck you, John.
Yeah,
anyway.
I knew it. Anyway,
I think you were the crier in that one.
He's
You have to go
embraced-
back. Listeners, you have to go back and correct the record. I think John is lying and has wrong memories.
you know what? Yeah, go back. Y'all take a little listen to that episode. Pretty much, you just go to the end and see what our reactions were, and comment below and let us know who was the bigger crier from that episode. Anyway,
It's
so
always
they're
John, all right?
so they're embracing,
Anyway,
and they miss each other.
Yes, they miss each other. Got a nice hug. You know what always gets me? Goofy movie. When he yells at his dad, I'm like, don't yell at your father. Or when his dad knows he's lying in that movie, and he's like, which way, son? I'm like, tell him the right way, Max. And then he always goes the wrong way, and then ruins their relationship for like 5 minutes, and then Bigfoot comes. And but yeah, so like, I don't know, we just get like this kind of sentimental time in Smallville where he's kind of like, back from the city and kind of just sees what happened. And we find out that Lana is not there. He goes to her house and she has been gone. And in fact, her aunt died. So the house is just empty. It's just there. The weeds are growing and the pastor of the town is weeding the lawn just because he likes to see it nice. But other than that, the house is just empty. Lana's gone. And so they're like, well, we're happy to see you and everything. But basically, he's just surprised Lana's gone. He talks to Pete, and he's like, yeah, Lana's gone, but I'm going to be just like that Lex Luthor one day. And he's like, sure you will, Pete. And, I don't know. Everybody else is pretty much the same in this month. And the other thing is, these are months, or these are seasons, right? But they might be
like a full year.
A year, and the seasons go because of the way that the story progresses. I'm just going to assume that because, like you said, how did he get a job in a week or whatever?
Yeah.
So there must be like a year, and then it's the next summer, and then a year, and it's the next fall, and the year, and it's the next winter.
Maybe.
Something like that, maybe. But yeah, so we just get like a nice time in Smallville, and I don't know, it's him and his mom have a nice heart-to-heart too, where he's just like, I always thought Smallville would feel like home. But I feel out of place at the city, and now that I come back and everybody, like, Lana's gone, and everybody's the same but different, like Pete's older, and he's not doing anything, but he's not what he was, and the same with like some of the people around town, it's just doesn't feel like home like it did, and he's like, it feels different here too, and she's just like, it's part of growing up, and it isn't always fun, but and it's not always easy either, but it's what happens, just like life moves on. And also obviously we've taken a break from Lois's perspective during this time in Smallville because she was not there. But yeah, so then we cut back to Lois's perspective in Metropolis, and it's the last day of summer, she says, and this chemical lab is on fire, and
which is odd because apparently like LexCorp was looking to buy this chemical lab.
Yeah, it was interesting.
And all these little coincidences.
Yeah, and we see we've seen this suit before. If you've ever watched the old Superman show or Justice League show where Lex Luthor's in it, it's like a prototype looking of his power suit. But Lex Luthor has a couple people that have big L's on their chest, and they are now flying around in super suits, like saving people. So he's kind of started his own superhero team.
I didn't know if they were people in there or if they were robots.
I feel like they're people.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like he hasn't made robots yet. I feel like they're people. Just because they mess up, like they don't have X-ray vision.
That's true.
They don't have things like that. They do mess up. But yeah, like they start to take on this fire. They save everybody they see, and this one is told from like a reporter's point of view. So she's down there looking up at what happens, and they're like, Superman shows up to control the situation. They're like, stand back, Superman. This is LexCorp has the situation under control. And then
everyone has been evacuated. We're just putting out the fire now.
And he puts his hand on Superman, and Superman throws the guy. And he's like, tell your boss, I don't have time for this. And he uses his X-ray vision and sees there's still someone trapped in the fire.
Yeah, there's a scientist in there.
Yeah, and so he wraps her in his cloak and his cape and like takes her back. And he's like, you fucking idiots. You would have missed her, and she would have died. She's still alive. She's okay now. But and then this is a cool thing. They're trying to put the fire out, and he does this whirlwind effect and pulls the fire out of the building.
This was a cool power.
This is fucking cool. Yeah, yeah. There's some powers in here. I'm like, I wish he would do this stuff in the comics more often. Like, because I think these are classic things you can do. Just on the idea, like, oh, he can move real fast. Well, so that means that he could make a vortex,
pull a gust of
and pull all this fire in like a windy vortex out of the building, and it would follow him, and he just puts it out in the ocean, then flies back, and is like, you fucking idiots, you would have been responsible for her death. Like, you go tell your boss to fuck off or whatever, basically. And that is this is all from like you said, the point of Lois Lane. So she's trying to get the tagline for this story. This is like, and it's all like, well, this is almost front page news, but I just need one more thing. And then she talks to the lady, and she's like, what would you say Superman is? And it says on the next panel you see is the Daily Planet. He's my angel. That's the title of the article or whatever.
So. And I guess so she's a chemist, Miss Vaughn, I believe is her name.
Yeah, and the next day Lex goes to her apartment to check on her and talk to her. Apparently, he's like, "Oh, Miss Vaughn, I hear you're a gifted chemist. It's glad we didn't lose you in that fire last night." And this is like, I don't know if he planned the fire necessarily. If this was like, like in like Backdraft, there's a fireman who's starting fires and then he puts them out and then he's the hero or whatever. So is this that? Is he for his superhero team creating things, then having his hero?
I think he's trying to do things to like make Superman less impactful, I guess is what he's trying to make it seem like.
Gotcha. But when he walks into her apartment, he's like, because there's just like all Superman memorabilia. She's like got altars of Superman basically around her apartment, and he's like, I hate Superman. And so then we don't know what's gonna happen, but he's basically like, maybe I can find some work for you or something, Then we cut to fall. So now we have in the fall, maybe a year later, maybe a couple weeks later, we're not sure. It must be. I'm thinking a year though, because it's what happens,
And Lex looks his hair is either a little less crazy or a little more receding. I can't tell.
Yes, and so we see. Yeah, that's true. Every time you see him, he's getting more and more hair missing. I guess they're saying from Superman's stress is what makes him lose.
Him lose his hair. That's funny. Yeah, that's the reason he went bald too.
It's like everybody's dad. The kids made him lose their hair.
Yeah. So, it's like Red. It's like if Red, from that _70s show, was finally like I can't take this anymore.
I had beautiful hair until I had you fucking kids. And it all went. But basically, this is from the point of Lex Luthor. This issue, and it says like, this is a love story, not between a man and a woman, but between a man and a city. And so it's just him talking about how much he loves Metropolis, but how they've betrayed him. Kind
Everything he's done in his life
Yeah.
to get his own money, power, wealth, success, blah, blah, blah.
But it was for the
But
city.
it was for Metropolis.
And Metropolis has betrayed him for this like god or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's not even something you can live up to. But this is my city, goddammit. And so like we just see kind of like his day to day, just like stuff that he goes through, and everything's like petty. Like he's talking about how awesome he is and everything, but it's like he just it doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Like why he hates Superman so much, other than just like everybody loves him more. He's taken all the paper headlines. And anything LexCorp does, no one gives a fuck about anymore.
Yeah, that's basically what it boils down to is he's
the new mascot.
He spent all his time collecting all of this like wealth to have all this power in town
and political favors and everything, and no one gives a fuck about it.
And now that Superman has come in and like can do anything, it's like, oh well, we don't really need LexCorp, I guess, to do. I mean, you can still pay for things, I guess, but
yeah. So because of that, apparently he has become a little more sinister than in previous days, or maybe just more actually going after Superman. But he's concocting a plan. He has taken Miss Vaughn, who was saved at the fire because she was such a brilliant chemist. Like you said, he's going to give her a job. Well, she's sitting in a chair watching all kinds of crazy Superman propaganda videos, I guess, with her eyes, held open like in Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And she's like, Are you comfortable, Mrs. Vaughn? Are all your needs being met? And she doesn't say anything. And he's like, I'll take your silence as a yes. And like basically he's concocting something with her biochemist, knowledge or whatever. And what that is we find out the next, I don't know, week or whatever, whenever this plan hatches that he's setting up. We're at the Daily Planet. Clark kind of gets in an argument with Lois about a note she finds on his desk.
That's to LL.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh, that's me," and he's like, "No, this is my friend Lois or Lana Lang.
Lana Lang, yeah.
That's I'm trying to like write a note to, so don't read my personal shit on my desk." And she's like, "My bad, Clark." And then all of a sudden she's like, "Is it hot in here?" Or and she like starts passing out, and basically he looks around and everybody's passed out, and they all have a fever. And they're all barely breathing, and their pulses are rapid, and he can't do anything about it. And basically, this is the plan that Lex has hatched. Some virus sweeps through the whole city, just taking everybody out except Lex, who's in a climate-controlled, HEPA-filtered office or whatever, and then obviously Superman, who's immune to the virus, and so. But he doesn't know what to do. This is the first time he's ever been in a situation that doesn't require powers or fists or anything to fight. Yeah. He doesn't have any way to fight this thing. There's a virus. I know in like other Superman things, they give him like genius level brains as well. So like he goes and real fast makes like
a serum
or whatever, and then that cures everybody. I don't like that Superman personally. I like this one where he doesn't have the smarts to do that. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I really think that gives him that extra dimension because that Lex is like, well, I've got you.
Yeah.
So he's got to figure out another way.
Yes, and so basically the other way. I mean, he goes around saving what he can. So he like saves a train from crashing, and he saves anything that's gonna imminently kill people. But then he realizes exactly what it is when he goes and talks to someone at like a virus lab. He's like, "What's going on?" They're like, "I'm the only one here that didn't fall victim to it because I was in my suit in this thing." And so she's still in her suit, but she says, "Oh, but you might want to talk to someone who has some people who know about biochemistry. Luthor, he's been hiring a bunch of biochemists." And so now Superman goes to talk to him, and basically he reveals, "Yeah, I fucking did this." Because you can't do shit about a virus. You can't punch a virus, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything.
So who's going to be
else.
the savior now?
Yeah, and also, are you going to assault me? Like you see Superman have to, and this is something that they don't do anymore because I'm going to, this is kind of political nowadays or whatever, but like, it has become okay to assault people if you don't agree with ideas of things sometimes, and or that it's more of an accepted idea that like if you don't agree with people on things, the idea of punching them or assaulting them or whatever is okay.
It seems somewhat like a reasonable thing sometimes now.
Yes, or at least it's talked about. Like, it's not like I get it, but like if someone did it, like, oh well, who cares? And I'm like, this is something that they don't do anymore. Is Superman looks at him and goes like he clenches.
Oh, he clenches his fist. He's like ready to punch.
Like he wants to punch him, but guess what? Superman, he's got morals. He's got what he was taught, which is like non-aggression principle or whatever, which is like. You don't assault. Although I would say this is arguable about that. But like, he's so much on that side that he won't physically attack Lex Luthor because he's also like, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
If I punch out Lex Luthor or whatever, what the fuck's going to do with the virus? He's got to. I have to ask him from help.
It might feel good to punch Lex Luthor, but is it necessary? But
it's not going to fix his problem.
Exactly.
So what he does, he says, you know what? I'm a bigger man than you. Okay, you say you can help. How can you help? Like, let's do it. However I can help you fix this solution, Lex Luthor, I will do because I'm here to save people, not show who's a better man or who can beat who or who can make who, kneel before them or whatever. So Lex gets what he wants, but it's in service of saving all the people in Metropolis. So Lex is like, okay, well, here's my lady I made, and we see he like made Miss Vaughn. The biochemist into some weird superhero named Toxin, and she's all brainwashed and everything, and she's in her costume and stuff. She has like this gun that he basically explains she's going to spray this in the atmosphere, and it's going to cause, or you can like make a chain reaction. I can't remember how he does it, but like by something, it's going to cause a chain reaction where it's going to start raining, and then the rain is going to basically neutralize the virus for everybody. Because it's going to like atomize in the air or whatever. And so the cure will atomize in the air. So basically he just needs Superman to take her up into the air where she can deliver the virus all over town or whatever. So he flies her all over and she releases it and everybody, it starts raining like it's supposed to and everybody comes back to life. Not to life, but like,
Yeah, she releases the cure and they're all fine.
And everybody gets healed, we'll say, except her.
Yeah, here's the twist on that. Yeah. It's the other part of Luthor's horribleness.
She actually, I'm assuming it was in the air that he gave her a mask to wear out there that was supposedly going to stop her from getting the virus. But I'm assuming that maybe the virus was in that and it was him giving her the virus or something.
Or something with whatever she was doing that actually caused her to but she dies.
Yeah, she dies in his hands and he can't do anything about it. So basically Lex is like, haha, you couldn't save her, even though you saved everybody else, someone still died, which is more than should have because you're so super or whatever, and so that's like why at the beginning of this, did we say at the beginning of this, Lex is in prison or whatever? So
we didn't. Yeah,
so at the beginning of this issue, he was in prison getting fingerprinted, and that was why, because he murdered this woman or whatever and tried to murder the rest of the town.
Yeah.
or the rest of the city. So, then of course Clark goes back to Smallville for a while because he needs a break now. He leaves the Daily Planet and he's like, I just need to go on a hiatus because, God damn it, it's so overwhelming. This like, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, Lex brought him to his knees basically. Broke his spirit. Did break Superman's spirit.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't like necessarily like a world ending or like a hard, like not that it wasn't bad, but I like that it wasn't such a like he had a plan to like save people too. Like he wasn't necessarily going to kill everyone to prove a point or whatever, but it was like he still brought Superman to his knees, and I liked it
because he knows all he's got to do is kill one person. Yeah, and if Superman can't save one person, it's the same as if he can't save 1,000 people. It's like to him, it's going to hit the heart. It's just as hard or whatever. So, and it's the person that he saved before.
Yeah,
too. So like he's already saved her once, and he couldn't save her the second time, kind of thing. And then we start with the winter one, and this is this fucking kid is still playing on ledges, and
It doesn't learn.
Yeah, his name is Trevor, by the way. I was like, why do they keep saying his name? Is he like in stuff later on that I'm not remembering? But they call him Trevor Burbank, and so I don't know if he's like in comics later on. But I've never read him. Yeah, but basically he's playing on the ledge like he shouldn't be, and one of the Lex guys comes up and says, "Hey, little one, you go back inside or whatever." And so these people are still flying around. Looks like Lex somehow got off.
I'm sure he paid off something.
Yeah, paid the judge and the lawyers and all that. They already said he had like political favors and stuff. And
now the Lex flying hero suit guys are like the new. They're taking over.
Well, they're not the new. Yeah, they've taken over because they've been around, but it's kind of like, well, he's all that's left, or they're all that's left because Superman is gone because Clark's on hiatus. Yeah. So Clark is gone, and Lois is like, oh man, some personal days.
Superman's gone and Clark's gone. It's so sad and crazy.
Yeah, this place really slowed down. No big stories and no splashy headlines once Clark and or Superman left. And so I thought this was her figuring it out.
I think it is.
I think it is too, but like they don't explicitly say it necessarily. But this is also from the point of Lana, which I thought was interesting because I thought, oh, she's gone, and then she actually comes back in this. So I liked this a lot. The way that they bring her back, obviously is because he's in Smallville. He's talking to her, and he's still got his Letterman jacket on, just like in high school. And she's like, really? You're going to wear your high school Letterman jacket while we go on a walk? Or he's like, yeah, what's wrong?
Still fits.
Yeah, still fits. And so, they go on a walk, and they just kind of talk about stuff. And she just came back and just kind of talking about, like, how it was when we were kids and everything. And one thing I really liked about this is basically we learned that when they went on their walk after prom and after they graduated, and he showed her that he was going to fly, or that he could fly, like we thought that was like, oh wow, as the reader, you're like, oh yeah, he showed you could fly and everything. That's cool. But to her, she thought because he was nervous and everything, and she could tell that he was going to propose to her. So him being like, I'm going to fly and also I'm leaving town was like the worst thing ever. And so I thought that was a really good reveal, and that's why she left. And you know what I mean? Like it really kind of hit home, like a note for her character in this that was like, oh, that makes perfect sense why she had that reaction of just like disappearing, because you're just like,
she was heartbroken.
The love of my life told me like, see ya. And like also like we're best friends, basically. Like she's in the friend zone because she says he told me his deepest secret, which you don't tell. You tell your best friend your deep secrets, not your like soon to be wife or whatever. That comes later, I guess, after marriage for 10 years or whatever. But like, or 50, whatever. You're 80, you know everything about each other. But like, you tell your best friend, hey, I'm Superman. You don't tell. And then you propose to your girlfriend or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah, at least for the times that fits.
Yeah, and so she was just like, I thought he was going to propose, and then ended up Clark doesn't think about me like that at all. We're friends, and I'm his friend that he's going to tell this secret to, and and so then while he's still there and Lana's eating dinner with the family every night now, and they're having a good time and everything, and over this course of this winter, we see the dam has broke. So the chief of police comes to their farm and says, "Hey, just so you know, you might want to get out or meet up at the church because, like, basically the dam is busted from all this rain that's been happening, and we're gonna basically it's all gonna be flooded. There's gonna be a bunch of property damage and everything, and so the parents are like, Clark, shouldn't you go try to help someone somewhere else, like, because they know he's Superman." And then she's like, she's like, well, with a son who can like move the course of mighty rivers, and they're like, oh, what the fuck, like, and he's like, oh, she knows, and he's like, oh, she knows. So yeah, I thought that was funny that like, oh yeah, of course, they're like, go be Superman, go save people. What are you doing sitting here or whatever? Because he still feels mopey about not being able to save people like he did in Metropolis. But guess what? That was last year.
Now's the time.
Get off your ass.
Get out there.
I don't know if it's been a year this time. Maybe it's this one. It actually kind of feels like maybe a couple months or whatever in between. But because it's like right after that, but he's been moping around. So, and his dad gives him a talk like, "Hey, you know what? The first year I had this farm, had the best bounty ever. I was like the talk of the town, how much fucking corn I grew and shit. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, you're fucking awesome, Pa Kent." He's like, yeah, you know what?
I am.
I am awesome. I'm an awesome farmer. And then the next 2 years, the corn sucked. And no one talked to me about it. You know, like, he's like, you know what? Things go up and down. You're going to learn how to be a better hero as you go. You're not just going to be awesome from the start. And, you know.
You might snap a neck or two before you figure it out.
You never know. Right? Some might say Zod needed his neck snaps.
Yeah. I mean, was he going to stop?
We're Snyderversing this up, but
yes, but seriously,
but yeah. So basically, he talks to his son and just saying like, "Come on, you're gonna go have to help some people." So he puts on his Superman suit and an overcoat, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I like that.
And his dad is like, "I gotta go bring this food and everything and supplies with all of our family to the church. So we'll go, and while you save the dam or whatever." So they drive away, and Lana gives him a big kiss where he's, kisses her back. It was a very, touching kiss. But also we know that he's kind of got a thing for Lois now. So it probably doesn't mean the same thing as...
It seemed like one of those, like, not necessarily goodbye kiss, but like...
I think it's more like a, it's a goodbye kiss for her love to him.
Yeah.
Like she's saying, she's like, go get him, make things safe against Superman, and I want to kiss you one last time kind of thing. And so... he goes, flies away, and the whole town sees him fly over there, and so they're like, "Oh, Superman's
here."
Yeah, he's gonna help us. So we see the dam is cracked, and he pushes basically everything he can in front of this fucking dam, like rocks, trees, fucking silos, and everything. And then I guess the river in one area is still too tall, and as the Kents are driving over it with Lana, the bridge gets washed out.
And then this is where I expected.
Yes, I was like, no, Pa Kent, the last pages of this book, you fuckers. And so, like, Pa Kent gets washed out of the car. The other, Ma Kent and Lana and the dog also gets washed out, I should say. But the Lana and the mom are in the truck, and he picks up the truck, but he sees, he's like, Dad, Mom, where's Dad? And she's like, he fell in. And like, you see him hanging on to a tree, but he's underwater. His arm is hanging on the tree. And so he picks up his dad, and I like this. The dad just kind of coughs and is like, you can put me down there, son. Like I'm not a baby. Right? But he looks so like, I don't know. Like, he looks so old, but like still like, I'm a man. Dude.
Yeah. Old, weathered, but like, okay, now this is enough of that.
And then I was like, I bet John is about to cry for a second, because then they go, oh no, where's Shelby? And I was like, John is going to be like, no.
That will too.
No, John did. It wasn't me for sure. But they're like, Clark, the dog's gone. And then he's like, gone. And then the next panel, luckily, it wasn't like a page turn. It could have been a page turn, which would have been more like, oh, no. But basically the dog's just on a rock like, arf, arf, arf. And they even mentioned like a couple times like, she's getting kind of old.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, oh, they're going to kill this fucking old dog? You son of bitch. You son of bitch. But yeah, he saves the dog, and the dog kisses him in a very nice way or whatever. But
one thing I'll say throughout all this, every time he's in Smallville, the dog is always curled up on the bed with him, and he's like scratching the dog. So obviously, like, that the family dog is a big thing for
it's his
dog,
dog.
So it's sweet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he basically saves the whole town, and everybody's like, I can't believe Superman stopped by to save our town.
Our small little town.
I wonder how he knew about it.
It's so crazy.
But yeah, and like we said, this is all in Lana's, like a letter to, or a journal entry, we'll say, maybe something like that. But basically, she's just saying like, I had to let him go. He's gonna go be Superman, and like that's basically what he should be, obviously, because this is what he's born to be, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
so she tells him like, go, fucking go be Superman. So,
she had one really good line. She was like, that boy I've grown up with that was so noble and like pure or whatever, he's in this costume. Like,
yeah,
it's not like not, it didn't change you. You are who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, this is who you were raised to be.
Yeah.
Just as if like, even if you didn't have the suit or these powers, you would still do what you could to save people or to help people or whatever, because that's how you were raised. You just happen to have these powers. There you go. It's very touching. It was very.
This is the goddamn Superman story that makes me feel it's like why do you complain? Why do you complain about Superman having being all whatever? No, like this is him. Like he's gonna do it. This is
how you write a Superman story.
Yes.
People talk about him being so hard to write. But guess what? You just make him a fucking moral compass, and you challenge his moral compass with either gray areas or like Lex, where he's like, "Are you gonna kill me, or what are you gonna do?"
You can still have bad stuff happen. It's not always he's not always gonna come out on top of perfect every time. But
I think this is also he's been OP'd over the years too. Like I said, he's a genius, and he can fucking create whatever, like serums and shit. It's like, well, you gotta give him stuff to like have faults on, kind of too. Like, so this kind of, it was like they gave him the original powers he had, which was like, I can run faster than a train and I can see through walls and stuff. But like, then they gave him some of his more OP stuff later on in this comic, where like, oh, he can like freeze breath and stuff like that too. But like, he never goes too crazy in this. So I liked that. They keep him at a certain level. And basically, then he comes back to the Daily Planet with Superman saves or stops flood in Smallville as his first article.
There's a French page, and Lois is like, what the...
How do you do it, Smallville?
How did you do it, Smallville?
Nothing's been happening here. And then he's just like, I don't know, Lois. Just a lucky guess, I guess. Or just lucky, I guess. And so, like he's able to come back to the Daily Planet with a headline that no one else had, because, God damn it, Superman was gone and there was nothing going on in the city. Except this fucking Trevor Burbank kid, who was apparently one of those Russian kids that climbs on buildings and cranes and stuff and videotapes it.
No, because he almost falls off every time.
Yeah. Well, there's that one kid that did fall.
That's true. There's the one,
but
he needs to quit opening the window and letting his cat out, because he's running after a cat.
Yeah. This kid's into parkour though. If you look at this, it's winter time, so there's snow on every ledge and every area that's flat, every surface. He has run along the ledge of the building, up another ledge, up to the roof, up to another window line where he climbs up that window line. And he is a parkour master.
I guess so.
This is the first time we've heard of parkour in America, is this comic. And so, but yeah, he basically, we see Superman catch this kid after he falls almost again. And then
one of the Luthor guys,
it was about to do it,
about to save him, but then Superman gets in.
And he says, "Hey, tell your boss Luthor, I'm back." And then that's why I kept saying like, this is there a reason why they bring this kid back so much? Because we start the comic with him where he saves him or whatever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you saved me before, Mister." But like, at the end, it kind of caps it off with the same saving. But I was like, is this a character I don't know about or something? But basically, they're just he flies away having saved this kid, and then we get a nice little, like we said, this is all in Lana Lang's journal kind of thing. So she says, we should all hope our best is as good as you, kind of thing. And then she says, as for me, I'll be staying in Smallville with some hopes, with some new hopes and dreams and prayers, and maybe I'll give Pete Ross a call, like either rekindle a friendship or move on to the other guy that I know from high school the best, and maybe she had a small thing for him too. I don't know, but that kind of allude to that. So, and then and then Superman says, "What's your name?" He's like, "Folks call me Superman." He flies away. So, and then I will say, I don't know if you read the back of this. We read the digital version on Comixology, which says this collects Superman for all seasons number 1 through 4, and stories from Batman, Superman Secret Files number 1, and Superman Batman 26, and Solo number 1. Doesn't have any of that shit in here.
I didn't see that.
I feel cheated. I bought this, and that shit wasn't in there. So, Comixology, get your shit together. This is not the full collection.
Yeah.
And,
What's that about?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Very weird. But anyway, So that was for all seasons. We all got touched, but nothing quite bad happened. That sounded bad. Our hearts got touched.
Yeah.
And nothing bad, nothing horrible happened to make us cry. So it was very nice and nostalgic and sweet. But John, what'd you think of it? What would you give it?
In particular, two little things I want to mention too, just because they were fun, is I like that Lex Luthor's building was in the shape of an L, as in like it like if you looked at it from the ground, it would just be like, kind of like a two sides of a building up, not quite.
It would look like a triangle.
Yeah, but if you look down on it, then it's a big L. And it's the tallest building in town. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And then, the art. I really like the art in this one too. In particular, when Superman flies in this and he's going super fast.
Oh yeah.
Usually it was his torso or like just kind of his arms you would see, and the rest is just this beautiful smear of blue, red, and yellow lines, and it is just a beautiful way. I love the way they showed him flying
kind of like
in
Flash.
this.
Like sometimes people draw Flash when he runs, where it's just like red behind him. I like. It's just a really good way to show it. That's why I don't know what he used to color this, but it's not like traditional. And this is like from 1998, so this isn't like digital. I don't think. I think this is traditional, either watercolors or pastels or something. Maybe. I don't know.
Whatever they did for that in particular, like I love the way Superman flew in this. Like I loved how it was drawn. It was so cool.
For sure.
So overall, the story was fun. It was wholesome. Nothing crazy happened. Nobody died.
It hit all the beats.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of like really crazy stakes, but it hit all of the notes that you wanted for a Superman tale, and you also got that heartfelt like Clark Kent like growing up. Like you kept going back to that too, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say overall, I think this one's an 8 for me. This was a really good story. This is really solid. You give this one a nobody's ever read Superman. Someone who has read like Superman, like this is great.
This is great for someone who's never read comics and knows just I know who Superman is. You get like a nice like backstory or whatever, and then it feels like if you grew up with the Fleischer cartoons or the old TV show with George Reeves or whatever, like it would fit into that time period or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? Despite anything in general, I would say I could give this comic to my dad and he would like it.
Oh yeah, he would love it.
I could give this comic to a kid nowadays and they would probably like it.
Yeah.
Like it's
you can give it to a kid and they could read it and it's not like too adult or anything for them.
Yeah, and it's not like super like in depth and wordy in there or anything like that either. It was really good read.
Yeah. Also, I like this because so one thing that's happened to all characters, because I think it's because of the movies, is it's gotten serious and fucking dark and dark, and we're only darkening it up. We're getting Superman is either, it's hard to write him now because he's so OP'd, and like, what do we do with him? And like, he's either gonna have a crisis of mental crisis, or like I don't know, the world's dark side's coming, but he's also Lois is leaving him, and it's like, what do you do with him? I don't know, but this felt like there's obviously stuff you can do with him if you just give him back like his kind of moral compass. I think that's like he has lost that because it's not cool anymore to be good or whatever, and then like you want him to be edgy and stuff, so they've taken away like his strong moral compass, and then.
No, I was just going to say in particular that I just saw real recently, it was like literally like within the last couple weeks, Henry Cavill was doing an interview with something and they were talking about Superman again. And that's exactly what he brought up. He said if they do, he would love to continue to do Superman and to dive into that kind of stuff where it's like what drives Superman's moral values and and that's perfect. That is,
and I was even going to say this because if he does do it, that would be in the Snyderverse probably or whatever, potentially, but if they just do it on its own. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm jumping
the gun.
So yeah, obviously you could just do like Superman 2 and continue with the Superman universe, but he did do that one, right? So that was still in the Snyderverse technically. Yeah. So if you were gonna have it be like he snapped Zod's neck, you're like, yeah, but that was like the first thing he did as Superman.
Yeah.
is he fucked up. Like, that's not, like, maybe his mom would be like, that's not what your dad taught you. You know, like, shit like that. Or, like, maybe he gives himself up for murder, but he gets off because it's like you saved so many people. But he's like, you know, that maybe he has, like, a struggle in there because he was taught not to do that shit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they could turn it around to be the way people wanted it to be. Because a lot of people were like, that's not my Superman. And you would still save the Snyderverse fans who are like, I'm fine with it. And then, but you could also turn it around for the people that are against it and be like, no, like, this is his first time. That's why he's fighting Zod and destroying buildings on accident and shit too. Because it's the first time he's fucking fought someone as Superman that's this OP,
that's that
powerful and everything. And he is still learning and he's still not quite sure on everything. So instead of being cautious, he's not cautious, and that's the flaw of this Superman in this Snyderverse or whatever. And he should have been, and he should have learned that from his dad, who was always taught him to be cautious traditionally in that movie.
Yeah.
So much so that he's like, "Don't save me, son. I'm gonna go out with this tornado or whatever." So spoilers if you haven't seen Superman. But like, yeah, it would fit in. You could turn it into a moral, like the moral Superman that everybody wants if you like Superman, like from the old school style. So that I just think if you give this to someone, this is refreshing or it feels new because, or like a different take, because over the last 20 years, Superman has become totally off course as far as the like his standing on everything, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just feel like every crisis or every thing that has happened in DC since like 2000 or whatever has caused him to be slightly moving off course from his original moral footing, and then every guy has to make it a little bit more and more and more in order to kind of put their own spin on it, and no one's putting him back.
Yeah.
So this puts it back, and it was like, oh wow, this feels really nice. Like this is how Superman should be, and it was kind of like a nice remembrance of what like a love letter to the original idea was, kind of thing. So,
Very much so.
So I love this. I love Tim Sale's art. This was like very cool, also because, like we said, it's a different style of his art. So because the coloring is different, and so normally he normally looks like Mike Mignola with the blacks are super dark, everything's super saturated. Like Long Halloween, the purples are fucking purple,
yeah.
and the blacks are dark black, and just everything is so like saturated, like I said, and it's just like very, very deep. And this is not like, this is very like light, and like you said, it makes it seem like you're watching a movie from the 50s that's got slightly colored in it or whatever. You know, there's barely colors coming through your black and white TV or whatever. You know, like, so it kind of feels like that, and
yeah.
I just it's very good feel, and it gives his artwork a different tone and everything too. So it's very cool to see his art in that light. And one thing that's interesting is, like, I don't know if there's a better writing team for Jeph Loeb than Tim Sale and him, because if you read Jeph Loeb with anybody else, like when he was in Jim Lee with Hush,
yeah,
or just on his own, I don't think he does it. Like, I don't know if it's just Tim Sale fills plot holes with him that make anything. You know,
maybe they're just so cohesive, like that they work off of each other so well that it does do that.
Yeah. And they must, because every one that I've ever read with them that they've done together, just
everyone we've read so
fits.
far, yeah, it's been fantastic.
It's just great. So I need this team more often in comic. In fact, they did release a comic this year. They did a Long Halloween new comic.
Oh, like a sequel?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or no, it's not a sequel. It's just an issue like in the universe.
Oh, okay.
But they did it for Halloween. So
That's fun.
it's
I
very
didn't
cool.
realize.
I was like, fuck yeah. Like, got some new Tim Sale art this year. So
Nice.
it's very
Did you read it?
Yes, it's very cool.
Oh, okay.
Best comic that week, I thought, but I didn't cover it because, like, I usually don't do the bigger books that are from DC and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to do more indie stuff. So, but
That's cool. Maybe we'll hold off and we can do it next year if it's Halloween themed.
yeah, because it's a single issue, so I think
Nice.
it's like 48 pages or something. So
Sweet.
But yeah, so this one just really got me in the feels, but not too bad. Like, it was like a good.
He didn't cry,
I didn't cry.
but he had the formation of tears in the corner. Of his
No,
eye.
but I thought, oh, maybe I am. Like I could feel, especially at the beginning when I turned the first page and it's that like book, and I'm like, God damn it, is this gonna be about John Kent dying and shit, and this is Pa before the day before he passed or whatever, before the tornado got him. But yeah, luckily it didn't quite get there, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Like it might have needed, maybe that would have made it better if it had that big emotional release or something, or that emotional moment. But there was enough emotional moments. Like I thought when he has to bow down to Lex, but it doesn't matter because he's there to save people. It's not about a power struggle between him and Lex. That's Lex's battle, not his battle. He's not even playing that game at all. So all he cares about is that people get saved. And then like the whole Lana thing where she says, I thought he was going to propose to me, that hit me pretty hard. Where I was like, oh man, like that is like that would be like a really big thing for someone, just like you think they're going to propose and like, hey, I just wanted to say you're my best friend.
You're a really great pal.
Yeah, exactly. And just also I can fly. I just want to share that with my bestest bud. And then anyway. And also I'm moving away, because of this and everything. So yeah, I thought that hit home really well. And like I said, if they'd had the dog or the dad die at the very end, it would have hit. But did it need it? I don't know. I don't know if it needed it. I don't think it did.
I don't think it did. I want to put that little extra point on your the Lana thing. The Superman is a really good especially with these two characters, and this is really my first I know I've seen and heard and read and had a little bit of introduction to Lana before this, because I just was like, oh, I forgot about her because it's been so long. Yeah. Lois Lane is his love and focus.
Well, you sir need to read. I need to watch Smallville.
Smallville now. Yeah, well, yeah.
All 10 seasons.
Yeah, all of them. But in particular, I really like that contrast now, thinking of it, is whether it's set in like this where it seems like it's in the 50s or whatever now, like Lana is very much that down home kind of, like I'm going to let, I can't wait for, the love of my life to propose to me. And like I'm all up, kind of like build up for it, whatnot. And it is heartbreaking, like you said, almost, because it's like, oh man, like she's obviously been in love with him, and like they've grown up together, and like they know everything about each other now, especially when Clark tells her this, right?
Right.
It's like that is everything, and that is what you want in your life partner, technically, right? But the opposite of that is Lois Lane, this hard-headed, like, I'm going to do anything I can to, like, be the best at what I can. I don't need no man. I don't need no whatever. She falls for him. They have that.
She needs that Superman.
She needs that Superman. But particularly, like, that's her like, MO, though, in general, is, like, I am strong. I am the best at what I do. And, like, I'm going to prove it to everyone, right?
Right.
Like, so it's just a cool contrast I never really put together until, like, really right now. Yeah. Like, that was really cool.
Well, I'm glad this book did that for you. But yeah, so I'm going to give it, I don't think I give it a rating yet. I'm going to give this book an 8.
Oh, you're an 8 or 2?
8.5 is what I'm doing.
Oh.
I don't think it's not, I think if there was maybe a little bit longer, like it was 6 issues and there was maybe a couple more emotional beats, it would have pushed it over the edge. But because there's only like so many you can fit in 4 issues,
yeah,
it's just nice and sweet and like a nice length. It's not over the length.
That's kind of how I felt. I was like, there wasn't like that gigantic climax of like crescendo. It was just like a good story.
Yes, exactly. Like I just felt like if it, like when it ended after I turned the page and it was like, and it's done. I'm like, what? When I say turn the page, I clicked forward. That's why, because I can't feel the book actually. I don't know I'm getting to the end until I clicked forward and it was the back cover.
Yeah.
I was like, wait. That's the end?
Yeah, and with that, and now that you've told me that we got cheated like 2 extra issues of.
Yeah, I don't know what those.
Don't know.
At least I know at least Solo #1 would have been good because Solo was like its own series and that would have been cool. But that's not just Superman, but it's like people telling cool stories of their favorite characters in one solo issue or whatever. So Darwin Cook did one of those. Mike Mignola did one. There's a bunch by single creators doing cool stories. So that probably would have been cool. The other ones I don't know. But yeah, so I just feel like, oh, maybe if it had been a little bit longer, they could have done like some epic thing at the end where it all really wraps up in some big epic crescendo, like you said, or whatever. But this being like it is, it kind of fits its low key vibe, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Like it does a good job at keeping it where the tone of the book, the art of the book, everything is kind of, we're here, we're just telling you about this is how Superman should be. This is our Superman. This is the one that we know and love. If you want to take a story from this and make your own big crescendo, go for it. But like, this is our love letter to Superman kind of thing. So, in that way, I think it accomplished what it did and needed to. And I think, like you said, you can give this to anybody and they can read it and be like, oh, that's what Superman is. And most people that don't read comics will be like, that's what I thought Superman was. But if you do read comics, read this again, because it is a nice, like, oh, that's what Superman's supposed to be. It's been so long. Hi, Superman. I forgot how you were supposed to be, So, yeah. But that being said, next week, what are we reading, John?
You said Reckless, right? I believe
Yes.
the title.
Reckless is a image book released or by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. That is there. They have a new idea, which isn't really that new if you read books or whatever. But basically, instead of doing issues and then collecting those into collections, they're just putting books out as collections, like a regular paperback series of like this one guy. So it's going to be about this one character, and the book series is called Reckless, and it's going to follow him the whole time. So it's basically going to be like Parker or like Jack Reacher.
You were mentioning it was kind of like similar to Parker, and so that intrigued because I like the Parker series.
Yeah, and it's about a guy who's kind of like a PI. He's not a PI, but he takes certain jobs. He doesn't take any job. So it's kind of like if a friend or someone if the case hits him a certain way, he'll be like, yeah, I should take that. He'll help people out. And he was in the CIA and shit, so he's got like skills.
Nice.
And so yeah, so basically it's that following, and there's 3 books out now. This is the first one. I read the second one yesterday. It was fucking awesome. So the first one's great. This one's great. The second one was great. So I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Very cool idea. I like that idea of bringing that into comics. Like, we're just gonna write these trades as,
that's the whole
like we're putting out our new character in this series that's just trades. Because I think that's how books might move forward in the comic industry, because issues are expensive. They're getting more and more expensive, and you might as well just collect them all and sell them as collections instead of having them come out month by month, at least on certain titles, So like, instead of having your independents come out as single issues, have them come out in, collected trades already.
Yeah, have a $10 or $15 trade that's got, 4 to 6 issues ready to go.
So that
tells a whole arc.
Yeah, and they might be starting a new or even a complete story. Like, each one of these is a complete story, so there's no arc. It finishes.
That's where people are enjoying consuming like their media nowadays too, like with Netflix and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Oh, the whole show comes out and I can sit here and get my whole story. Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, everyone's different. So like, even with the Parker novels, you don't have to read them in order. It helps if you do on the first 2, but after that, like, actually every Parker novel is its own story, so you can read it and figure out what's going on without having to. So if they're doing that like novels, where you can pick up any Jack Reacher story and be like, okay, this guy's a spy, or the Bourne series, or any of that kind of stuff. You figure it out. They give you enough breadcrumbs to figure out who this character is, and then have a good thriller, and then go back in time and go back and read the other books when you feel like it or whatever. But so yeah, this is a new idea. I'm very excited to see what you think about it, and it's probably going to be, they're probably ahead of their time. They're probably the first people doing it. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how it's received. So if you guys feel so inclined, go pick that up. Also, just so you know, we're going to be doing or we have our coffee, our support page, but it's also our page to follow us, like our blog page. I post everything we do every week on that, and that way you only have to sign up for that, and it will just get sent to you, everything we do every week, so you don't have to search on multiple platforms like YouTube and then whatever podcast app. It all comes in the blog, and you can view everything and hear everything on there if you want. So, and then, like, if you want to, you can just look at us on YouTube and all that stuff. But I am definitely recording Spawn, and I think I'm going to do Hellblazer also for our tiers.
Actual tiers, okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start some things to have basically Matt's minis, where I'm gonna read the entire series, but just do it for the tiers. So if those interest you at all, I will have them in separate tiers starting. I'm hopefully in January, like January 1st is what I'm shooting for, and then we're gonna have a tier where we're gonna go through all the X-Men '90s show. The animated series.
The animated series reaction, yeah. With Disney's announcement that they're continuing that, or there's not, that seems like a good thing to dive into. And
yeah, so we're gonna do reactions on that and just put that up on there too. I think we might do little cuts, like super cuts of them on YouTube and throw them up there. But they're so short; they'll be like a 5-minute, edit of ha ha ha. Oh, it's Wolverine. Huh. Oh, cool. Oh, that was a good story.
Yeah.
And
but for the full, if you want to watch the full episodes with us, then that'll be the way, is through Coffee.
Exactly. So just go to our Coffee at ko-fi.com/Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and you'll find us there. Also, we have our link tree and everything over on all of our media pages. So if you just go to any of our Instagram, YouTube,
Twitter,
all that stuff, it'll have our link tree there, and you can find it on there. So.
Yeah, you can find all our stuff. Well, we try to post everything everywhere. YouTube, we've got a lot of exclusive content, but in general, like, we're trying to make sure you know where to get any and all of our stuff now, specifically through Coffee.
Yes, and Coffee just makes it easier. And the reason why we're doing that is you don't have to donate, you don't have to support, but I just would like to, everybody, if you sign up on it, then we can at least send you everything all at once, and then you don't have to we'll make sure everybody's getting everything that we're putting out.
Exactly.
We don't want to we have a podcast. You didn't know we had a YouTube? Oh, yes. Or like if you only watch YouTube, you have a podcast? So, yeah, basically we want everybody to know what we have. And then also to be able to see anything in case you are interested in those other Matt's minis. There's some, me and John were talking about doing an Extreme 90s show where we read and talk about issue by issue only 90s crappy comics that are like supposedly crappy.
Yeah.
So like doing Justice League, what was it? Extreme was one of the ones we were talking about. We're doing the Thor where he's got the really long ponytail, that little run from the 90s, or the Wonder Woman where she gets like a black costume, and then there's Artemis takes over for her in the traditional Wonder Woman costume, and she's got long hair and it whips around. So we were thinking about doing the extreme
lots of pouches,
stuff.
Lots of straps.
Yes. Lots of bosoms and and butts, and so and all of those things in poses that you can see both in, which are very hard to do, but they did them in comics a lot. So we are very excited to kind of do something like that, but we're looking to do that as well. So that is all going to be under tiers on our thing, or on our Coffee. And so we just want to let everybody know about that. And if you wouldn't mind following us on that would be awesome. So with that being said, we will see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.